I hope everybody is doing well out there. Thanks for tuning in. This is Brian916. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 reasons not to buy Snap-on tools part 2. Yes, part 2. I did make a part 1 to this video a few years back, and I got a lot of grown men in the comment section crying about it. So this video is long overdue, and it's time to get into it. Okay, so before we jump into the 5 reasons why I think you shouldn't buy Snap-on tools, let me start by saying I am not new to the world of auto repair at all. I've been turning wrenches consistently from 2003 all the way up until the pandemic started. So I am by no means new to this. I've run an auto repair business for well over 10 years, as well as an auto sales business with excellent reviews online and a great reputation in the city that I ran this business in. Prior to that, I've worked independent, I've worked dealer, I've worked for commercial vehicles, I've done it all. Passenger vehicles, gasoline, diesel, I've done it all in this industry. So I've been around for a while. I got some valid points that I want people to hear. Also, let me say that I actually do own Snap-on tools, and I'm going to pull some of those Snap-on tools out and show you that I do own Snap-on tools. So I do know what I'm talking about. I happen to hold the belief that you need to actually own a product before you tell somebody else not to buy it. If you go on Amazon before you buy something and you can't make up your mind on whether or not you want to buy it, what's the first thing you do? Well, you go look at the reviews of people who actually bought the products, they own it, and they can give you a real review. And I also wanted to say this really quick. I know it could sound like I'm contradicting myself because as I go through this video, I will explain some of the Snap-on tools that I bought and the reasons why I bought them. And yes, I do like some Snap-on tools, but it's not contradictory because I don't need these Snap-on tools. I just bought them because I like them. And yes, I do think that some of their hand tools are really good tools, but at the same time, I don't need any Snap-on tools. I'm able to perform my job very well with what's out there in the market. And then before we jump into my reasons, let me say this real quick as well, because this is obviously going to come up. The fact that the tools are manufactured in the United States. You need to do a little bit more research on how much you think is manufactured in the United States. There's really only a small portion Snap-on tools that's still manufactured in the United States. And there's also tons of other tool companies that manufacture tools in the United States. In fact, a lot of tools that Snap-on sell are rebranded from other manufacturers. So there's plenty of manufacturers in the United States. So let's not go there. Let's talk specifically about Snap-on. Okay, so I pulled out the Snap-on stuff that I own to sort of aid in this video here as I go through my points. So point number 1 as to why you shouldn't bother buying Snap-on tools is going to be, it's not really necessary. There was a point in time when buying Snap-on tools when you are a professional auto technician is pretty much all you had. It was either Snap-on or Sears with the occasional Mack or Cornwell truck that might come around depending on when you started. But certainly when I started in the early 2000s, there wasn't nearly as many options as we have available. We happen to live in a time period now in 2021 when Snap-on tools aren't necessarily necessary the way that they used to be maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. As much money as I spent on all of these tools, most of these tools I could have bought in a different brand that worked just as good. Like I said, I've been around long enough to know, even if you want to buy American-made tools, if that's your thing, that you have to have an American-made tool, there's still other American-made tools that's still a lot cheaper than Snap-on. So they're just really not necessary. You could get a trusty cook hammer. You could get, you know, Mac or Right tool. You know, so even Tekton has made in the USA stuff. So it's just really not a necessity to buy Snap-on tools. At this point, this is all luxury. It's not really a necessity. All right, so most of the tools that I bought when I bought from Snap-on, I never really bought these tools in with the necessity mindset. I always bought them as a luxury, as sort of a I've made it in my career sort of thing, to where, you know, I earn enough money now and I've hit a stride in my career where I'm able to afford luxury brands. And that's pretty much what Snap-on is and has been for me, I would say, for the last maybe 10 years or so. But as you progress in your career, you start to learn that these tools aren't really necessary. Okay, so my next point on why you should not bother buying Snap-on tools is that the company is disingenuous, you know? And I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. Snap-on can be very disingenuous, and they can be sort of tricky in the way that they deal with their customers. I'm gonna give you an example here, give you a couple examples. We'll start with these drill bits here. I'm pretty sure there's another company that manufactures these drill bits, and then Snap-on throws them in the case and puts Snap-on on it and sell it to you. Well, if you open up the case and you look in here, so what does it say right here? It says there's a difference. So I'm curious to know, what difference are we talking about here? Because Snap-on didn't manufacture these. So I'm not sure exactly what difference they're talking about. Different from what? I'm pretty sure you could buy this same exact left-handed drill bit set in some other brand. That's probably the same exact set. I highly doubt that this is manufactured by Snap-on. So I'm not sure what they mean by there's a difference. I'd be willing to bet you can buy this in some other brand. So that's one way they could be very disingenuous. Another way they could be very misleading when it comes to using a slogan, made in the USA. And that's been a term that's been commonly used by tool manufacturers to sucker people into buying tools just by putting made in the USA on it. And they take advantage of people who have that sentiment. I got two spark testers. One is from Mac Tools. This other one is from Snap-on. Now I'm going to show you how they could be sort of disingenuous or tricky or downright misleading. All right. So if you look right here, what does it say? It says made in the USA. So what is made in the USA? Is this spark tester made in the USA? Is it just this clip that's made in the USA? So I've gone along this spark tester, and nowhere on this spark tester does it say made in the USA. It says it on this clip. So technically, if this clip is made in the USA, then they can't necessarily get in trouble for saying that it was made in the USA. You just made the assumption that this spark tester was made in the USA, when in fact it's just this clip. Now I got a Mac one. Now I don't know because I've never opened it, but I'm gonna open this up and let's see if Mac Tools did the same thing. All right, let's open this up. Okay, so Mac Tools did not, this does not have a made in the USA on it. As you can see, it does not say made in the USA. So you can see Mac Tools was being a little bit more honest here with this, because this is more than likely manufactured in China, this little spark tester. So that was number 2 on how disingenuous Snap-on can be with their customers and the products that they sell. There's also other companies that do this. It's not just Snap-on. Harbor Freight does it as well. In fact, AC Delco, which you know is owned by GM, they're actually currently in a lawsuit right now being sued for this very issue of putting made in the USA on everything, when in fact the product was not made in the USA at all. Before I jump into the third reason why you shouldn't buy Snap-on tools, I thought I'd just mention my own experience with dealing with Snap-on. I believe really only hand tools like ratchets, screwdrivers, sockets, and things like that are really only made in the USA. But if you buy something like this Snap-on light that I have, most likely this is going to be made in China. Same thing with these power tools. Most likely these power tools are made in China. I was going to open up an Amazon store where I sold tools, and I was going to heavily invest in selling Blue Point tools because I got a hold of a distributor in China. All right. And this distributor, we've had long conversations back and forth. Ultimately, I decided not to do it. But it definitely appeared to me that this distributor had a direct connection with a Chinese manufacturer of Blue Point tools in China. So I'd be willing to bet, I don't know for sure, but I'd be willing to bet that Blue Point and Williams stuff is probably being made in China and no longer being made in Taiwan, or there's a mix of the two, where there's some being made in Taiwan, maybe some being made in China. But certainly our conversations that I had with the men definitely sounded like the Blue Point stuff was being made in China. Not that I have anything against things being manufactured in China. I'm just merely stating my experience. All right, so for the third reason why you should avoid buying Snap-on is, let me save you the disappointment. And what I mean by that is there's really very little difference in a lot of their tools. Don't get me wrong, some of their tools perform very well. Snap-on ratchets perform very well. Snap-on screwdrivers perform very well. They do have hand tools that perform very well. I will admit that. However, save yourself the disappointment in a lot of their other stuff. For example, this Snap-on ratchet right here. I paid close to 500 bucks for this. It came with 2 batteries and it came with a battery charger. For 500 bucks, you're gonna end up expecting a lot more. This thing is starting to rust up on me. I've never used this outside at all. I've only used it indoor. I haven't had it that long. I've only had it for probably 2 years at this point, and you can see it's starting to rust up. So they really could have did a lot better as far as rust prevention goes. So you will find that you end up spending a lot of money for Snap-on tools, and you come to realize that they're really not that much different from other tools as far as like the wear and tear goes. And so you ask yourself, could I have just avoided spending that much money and could have got, you know, a totally different brand? Now it's more reasonable. Now that little surface rust is not a big deal if the tool had a reasonable cost, but the fact that you almost spend $500 for it, well, that's going to dramatically change your expectation of the tool right off the bat. Now let me give you another example. Okay, so on this quarter drive tool, which I do like the tool, look at it. It's very small and compact. It's a quarter drive. It's impossible to over torque when you're dealing with like aluminum intakes and plastic intakes and things like that. Is it a handy tool? Very handy tool. But look, and I just bought this tool, and you can see the socket is already falling off of this thing. And yes, you can replace the little friction ring that's in there, but I just bought this tool. I shouldn't have to replace that already, but it looks like I'm gonna have to replace it even though I just bought it. And just so you guys don't think it's just me who feels this way about save yourself, the disappointment, I'm gonna go ahead and run some clips from other YouTubers who felt the same way.
There are other toolboxes out there that serve just as good a purpose and in some ways work better. One of the things that I don't like about this toolbox is it doesn't have soft closed drawers. Another complaint that I have after this amount of time, and this has been since day one with this toolbox, is some of the drawers are noisy. Now, if I'd have spent full retail, if I'd have went to the tool truck guy and said, hey man, I'm gonna make your day, give me that KRL 1023 right there for 11 grand, stainless steel, or 13 grand, stainless steel top and everything. He probably wet his pants when I'd said that, this is all hypothetical, and been very happy to sell it to me. But me, as the person consuming said toolbox, you know, I really feel like you're just buying a name. Because the quality that, in my mind, that should come with something that costs 13 grand, should be a lot better than what I'm seeing with this. But as I said, you know, after years of using it, do I feel like I'm better off? And I don't. I really don't love this toolbox.
First impressions, well, it comes with free finger smudges on the top, also on the drawers. That's weird. The paint job looks less than perfect, but I'm not too worried about that. The drawers have a stop halfway. It sort of grabs and you have to pull harder to get it all the way open. Is this supposed to be a feature? I don't like it. It's also different on different drawers. It's less pronounced with weight in the drawers, but it's still there. The drawers definitely feel better with some mass inside them. The keys are pretty cool. The rails are not fully secured to the drawers, and the drawer manufacturing doesn't look like anything special. I really don't like that the top drawer is rubbing against the frame of the box. You can see it here already rubbing into the paint. I can't help but wonder what that's going to look like in 5 years. That is not something I would say is acceptable for a box that costs this much. And it makes me wonder what other manufacturing tolerances are this bad.
If someone tells you your Snap-on toolbox is going to hold its resale value, and that's why you should spend the money on a quality box, they're full of it. Because that toolbox behind me with the hutch is $21,000. I traded in a box that I had quite a bit of money in, and I had paid it off, and I got $12,000 in credit for my trade-in, and then they discounted this box quite a bit. So it didn't cost me anywhere near $21,000, but it's still a whole bunch of money that I really regret spending. This box obviously was $21,000. I'm trying to get about $9,000 for it on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm having a hard time selling. I'll probably just end up keeping it. I'm not desperate to sell it. I just wanted to get something less expensive because I regret the purchase.
Well, there you have it. By the way, link in the description to all three of these guys' channels, so go over there and subscribe to them. That brings us on to point number 4, which is Snap-on warranties aren't the best. I've dealt with much better, no hassle, no fuss, no questions asked type warranties, whereas Snap-on Tools doesn't necessarily provide that type of peace of mind. It usually depends on wherever you bought it. So Snap-on sort of has a system where they make the majority of their money actually selling to the franchisee. So if you decide you want to get a Snap-on truck and you want to start selling Snap-on tools, that's where Snap-on makes their money. They make their money off of you, the one going out selling these tools. That's their business model. All right, so a lot of times whenever you know, you need to warranty out a tool, you got to contact the tool guy that you bought the tool from. And a lot of times, if you didn't buy the tool from them, they're very reluctant to want to warranty that out for you. And if you go online and you do it online, well, it's not very straightforward. It can be very difficult to figure out how to warranty the tool through Snap-on. You can do it. There are YouTubers out there who show you how to do it. I think Midwest Tool Reviews did a video where he showed you how to warranty out some Snap-on stuff. But you see, it's not very straightforward. And I've gotten comments, people talking about they got the best warranty in the business. No, they do not have the best warranty in the business. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there that can back me up on that. off the top of my head, I can probably name like at least 3 companies that have better warranty practices, at least more transparent warranty practices than Snap-on. And I know a lot of people talk about the convenience of them coming to your shop, but you know what? Nowadays you can get tools to come to your house. Okay, so it doesn't really matter anymore that it comes straight to the shop. All right, there could be a box of tools waiting for you when you get home. All right, so that really doesn't matter nowadays. All right, so moving on to the #1 reason why you do not want to bother buying Snap-on tools. The #1 reason, of course, is going to be the cost. It just flat out costs too much money for what you get. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said it earlier in the video. Yes, there are some things that is worth paying a little bit more for. Even though it is a bit pricey, I still think it could be worth it. Like the ratchets and screwdrivers. But as far as buying electric tools like this that are made in China, you can buy any made in China tool. You can go to Harbor Freight and get some made in China electrical tools or electric tools that work just as good. You could go to Milwaukee, which will probably outperform these tools anyway. You know, Snap-on torque wrenches. Yes, these are nice. I do like that it has the torque angle and foot-pounds, Newton meter, and inch-pounds all built into one tool, so you don't have to buy multiple tools. But for what it costs, you know, you could save your money and you still could get the job done. I think I paid somewhere around 500 bucks for this, like 550 or so. It's just $1,000 just between this electric ratchet and this torque wrench. We're talking $1,000 right there. So if you can add it up and do the math on everything that I have here, you can see that you're spending a lot more money than what you're actually getting. And all really Snap-on does, you know, when they're challenged with you're not really getting what you pay for, or I can get the same from other tool manufacturers. All they really do is put labels on stuff like there's a difference. Like we looked at inside this drill bit set. They'll put little slogans on there like there's a difference, or you know, they'll play on your sentiment that it's made in the US. For what I have here invested, you probably could go buy a pretty decent toolbox, to be honest with you, with what I have sitting out here. I didn't add it up, but if I was to add it up, I'm pretty sure I could go and probably buy a pretty decent sized toolbox, you know, with what I pay for here. Most certainly could buy a used vehicle. You know, I paid more for these tools here than my 2003 Tahoe that I have sitting outside. So anyway, guys, this was my part 2 of 5 reasons why you shouldn't buy Snap-on tools.